Your screen is.
Okay, last week we talked about what are all these terminologies, these defects and bug and errors and all those things. We're going to know about all these things and why are they used, is terminally used. So we dive into the STLC, which is what is your own profile, what you're going to do in your day-to-day activity in your job. So that's why this section is very, very important. I'm taking it one after the other so they're able to understand and they're able to say it in your interview panel because this is your own job profile as a tester. And I also tell you that irrespective of what we talked about SDLC, the SD, the D as in Delta, is for majorly for the business people. But though you testers have to be there, you have to be there because in SDLC, testing is part of those things you have to do, irrespective of any part of any kind of a model your company is embarking on. I've faced a kind of interview that they asked me, have I worked with a waterfall model before? Because they, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, I had a call with them that they are embarking on, they are kind of old school. Old school means that they are still on the waterfall model. They are not doing agile. Agile is what most industries are doing today. And when I was telling you about a different type of model, I told you that agile methodology is not part of anything related to SDLC. Agile is, in English, what means anything quickly. Okay, so everybody works all together in agile. But we're going to take a section on agile to understand agile waterfall, agile methodology, what it's all about. So they are saying that they are kind of old traditional people. They do kind of waterfall model. And I told you in recent class in SDLC that waterfall is the building block, the basic building block of any kind of model you're going to carry on. If you are thinking of anything, you think about waterfall first because it's a building block of any software development life cycle. So those are kind of models. And you can see in any kind of models your company, your organization is embarking on, they still doing testing. Testing is one of those phases. And I clarify you that in SDLC, that software testing lifecycle has nothing to do with SDLC. In STLC, software testing is one of these phases in SDLC. So similarly, I told you that software testing lifecycle is what testers will do, irrespective of model they will employ in your organization, which I always told you about the waterfall. We talk about the incremental model, be it V model or any other particular kind of model your organization is want to embark on, spiral model, all of them. So I told you that there are certain actions that which you have to do as a testing team. And all these group of actions you see on your screen today are what is called software testing lifecycle. Software testing lifecycle is independent of software development lifecycle. It's independent, it's not dependent on it. In software development lifecycle, testing is one of these phases. And we went in detail explaining what you're going to do in software lifecycle, as testing lifecycle. You have to do requirement gathering first. You can see it's one of the first phase. We determine in details about requirement gathering, and we talk about the different phases on STLC, the planning, the test case development, the environmental setup, test case execution, then test closure. We stopped at this point. So we're going to continue here. And then I want you to understand it in detail. That's why I'm trying to take this one after the other so you can be able to understand in detail. But our topic today is about test case and test scenarios. But I'll try to make it clarify to you about STSC before going into that, if time permits. I know most of you did not get the video for last week about this SDLC. That's why I wanted to we just do just a few cover up of this STLC. Then you can have the few hours of your time today to go back to this video and take note, because we're going to be going to the practical aspect of it while you're aside talking about these test scenarios and test cases. I told you we're going to do that in this class today, but I don't want to rush you because you have to take it one after the other so you fully understand your role as a tester. This is your day-to-day activities. I want you to understand those technologies used as a tester. So different phases, which is kind of the requirement analysis phase as in your own team, which your test manager, they do the requirement analysis of this particular application under test. I told you what that is. That's what we call the AUT, application under test. What kind of application you guys are going to test? Is it going to be an e-commerce application? Is it going to be a banking application? So you should know what kind of test you want to perform. Then your test manager will have what they call the POC, which is the proof of concept. Then testing begins. Then the planning phase, we talk about you have to do planning of it. Anything you have to do planning. Is a blueprint. How many people are going to gather in this particular testing? I know I'm not going to use 10 test people, testers. How many people know about automation? We have automation engineers, automation testers in our team, and we have manually testers in our team. So 6 people are going to do manual testing. 4 people are going to do automation. So all these things are in this planning phase. And I also talk about these deliverables. Is what is the outcome of what you have gathered, the requirements you have already gathered. And I'm going to tell you about the RTM. I told you just in high level what RTM is. The requirement traceability matrix is done by your test lead or your test manager. They plan for all these things. They do the requirement analysis phase. And also let to know that in your interview, if you ask you, have you ever do prepared RTM? No. As a fresher, as a tester, you have done requirement traceability matrix. It's done by your test manager testing. If you know much about testing, then you can be doing this. Or you are facing an interview about the test manager role, then you should know about requirement traceability matrix. But how to prepare requirement traceability matrix, we're going to do that in our next class and next section. Okay. And I told you this requirement traceability matrix is when the business people give you documentations. They give you documents on what you have to application you have to build. Okay. We get fit from the business requirement documentation. The testing, the business will give you this documentation. From there, you start preparing your test scenarios. You start preparing your test cases for that particular applications and all those stuff like that. So the template that comprises all these things, how many people are embarked in this particular testing, how many resources you use, everything that constitutes these requirements traceability. You start getting them from you start preparing requirement traceability from this point. You will not end it here. You end it at the test closure. You start preparing all those things. How many people are involved in this testing and thereabouts? And we talk about the test case development. When you gather after your planning phase, requirement analysis phase, you move to your test planning, preparing planning and test strategy documentation for various type of testing. Are you going to do automation? Are you going to do manual test effort estimation? I told you about you have to estimate the effort of your team. It might be A has 6 years of experience in testing. You can't compare that with someone that has 2 years of experience in testing. So you have to do in test planning phase, in SDLC, effort estimation is required. Then test tool selection. Are we going to do automation, manual, API testing this particular application? Is it required? performance testing is it required? All those things comes with the planning. You have to plan for all these things. So planning phase I told you about, if you're manager, if you're not conversant with that of testing these particular e-commerce applications, maybe for loans or for corporate customers, all those things, you know how to test all these modules. Then your manager will um, embark you for kind of training for someone that has how to test the particular module. So all this thing comes to that test plan. It's test plan in the high level deliverables. After all this planning of all these things, you have your outcome. Deliverable is just like an outcome. What's gonna be your outcome? You see your test plan documentation is being prepared, and the effort estimation documents. This one has more experience than B, so he should carry more tasks than that of the one that have low. I mean, they have a least experience. So all these things you do that in your test plan. After all those things, you start creating what they call test case. You start planning your test case. It's a set of step actions you have to take in executing this particular application. You start writing scripts, test scripts, review and baseline test cases and scripts. Start scripting. In my organization back in America, they do scripting, call it script. When you come into the job, your lead also you like embark on training how to do your scripting, but you know all those things. So we also have every industry have their own way. They write their own test script and how to prepare their own Excel sheets and all those stuff like that. You start doing your test scripting. You start doing scripting. You start doing kind of a negative and positive kind of testing. You can do some kind of a permutation combination. How many this login should accept 16 characters, username and password. This should accept 15 characters. You then expand it. You then do kind of you try to key in 18 characters. If it's going to accept that test box should accept that. If it will accept that particular logins. Okay. So if it accept, that means it fails, because your own documentation that the business people give to you says it should accept only 15 characters. So you cannot do a kind of a negative and positive testing. Kind of try to break it. Your overall as a tester, when I told you in the demo class, I told you the developer is building that particular application, but you are looking at, you have to break it. You have to find bugs in that particular system. So you are doing a kind of permutation. So you start scripting. You start developing your test cases, that test case development, step-by-step action to carry this particular functionality. So deliverables, your test case scripts, test cases, and test data, what you use for that testing. Okay. Then test environment setup. There's environment I told you that you need to set up a kind of environment in every platform. The kind of environment where testing happens. Okay, we have a testing environment, we have a UAT environment where testing happens. Who set up this environment? These production people, the DevOps, the production managers, they set up this environment. We have to do our testing. All these performance smooth tests on all these builds. We're going to talk about the sanity testing, smooth testing in our incoming casting. You understand what smooth testing is. But there's a kind of environment where you have to do your 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 testing. Like when I say something like this is kind of environment, right? And I put um this is for instance, this is Chase Bank. This is what I mean by environment. So testing people will give everything you see here. When I was telling you about the SDLC data, everything you see on your website is on the production server. But before it goes to production server, you have to do kind of testing of it before you deploy into the environment. This is already in the environment where users can able to do their logins and sign in and all those stuff. So it has been tested. So before that is being done, there should be a kind of environment that testing happens, environment setup. Okay, you have to set up environments where testing happens. So where you have to log in, do some kind of logins with your test data. That's what I said with test data. Okay, all these things have to be in your environmental setup where testing happens. You have to test all these things. All that means the production people, they have to provide you those environment. They have to provide you signing box. They have to provide you all these things are in the web link. All these are web elements. Okay, all these things have to be available for you to do your testing. So environmental setup, you have to set up environment where you have to do your testing, provide you with test data. That test data is kind of a dummy. And if they have to provide an account where you have to do your test, not kind of a client's account number. No, it's a kind of account that used for a test data that's had to use for testing. So all these things has to be provided. So you can see your deliverables, your environmental ready for test data setup. So test data is kind of that data from any kind of account information for you to do kind of your testing. You have to log in to able to that the user able to log into the account and able to see his account number, used to see his home address, all those things. Environment have to be set up. That's kind of thing what you see in your production server, what you see in your website. That's your environment. That's a production server. That's the built already. So before it goes into the environment, you guys have to do the testing of it. That's why I said test environmental setup with the test data for testing. You now have your test data, your deliverables in this outcome is your test data. You have it in hands now, okay, for you to do your actual testing. Then test execution. This is very, very critical phase for you test engineers. There comes this test environmental setup, the test execution, sorry. All the engineers are involved in this test execution. The test, you have to test the application that is basically executing the text you will be running, the script, what that script you created in the test creation phase. All those scripts, you start executing those particular scripts. If you have created the script, we'll be doing a lot of functional testing for that application. For example, we talk about 6 people. We'll be doing manual testing, right? When I talk about the test planning, how much people go into this testing, we have 10 people in our team. 6 will be doing manual testing. Like you guys are starting with manual testing. So 6 will do manual testing. There's some people that were enrolled for Java class. They are learning Java so that they can be able to do automation testing. So you need to learn this Java, the core Java, to learn, so able to run your test scripts. So those 4 people will be doing automation. So like you guys right here, you do manual testing. So for example, as I talk that 6 people will be doing manual testing, then and 4 will be doing automation. So all 6 will test different modules. All right. You will testing different modules. Like let me take example for, just give me a sec. Let me take example for like example for like our email client, our Gmail. We want to test our Gmail. Um, no, let me take examples like it's something like our Gmail client. Okay, we have our inbox, we have our draft, we have our sends, we have all these things. So all those things are nothing but what we call modules, okay? These are modules. So 6 people will testing different, they were testing different modules. Like for inbox, like we have resource 1, resource 2, and maybe this is for sends. It's going to be the responsibility of resource 2 to test this. And for that of a draft, this for sends, this for inbox, and that of draft will be for resource 3. We're testing these modules. So all these are all modules, okay? Like your inbox, all these important snooze, sends, shushu, all these things you see, or these are what we call modules. So maybe in inbox is the responsibility of source 1 to test the inbox. Same applies to the data of sends. It is for Abraham, which is resource 2, one member of your team to test this particular module. And that of 3, it might be that of resource, your team, maybe Mr. B, to test that of draft. So we start testing these modules on the basis of test cases they have created in that test development phase. Okay, they develop that particular test cases, which they got from a business requirement, from business people. All right, so start creating their test cases, and this is time they start executing this particular test case. So that is basically executing your test cases, which you created during your test case creation phase. When you do that execution, you will find a lot of what? You find a lot. You will find a lot of what? A lot of bugs in this system. In this module, you will find a lot of bugs you'll be testing. You will report all these bugs using some particular tool. When you find these bugs, when you'll be running this particular, testing this particular module, you'll find a lot of bugs. And you reporting these particular bugs with one particular tool they use in reporting bugs, which is called Jira. It's a Jira tool. It's a bug reporting tool. But I'm going to tell you about more about Jira, how you used to log in your Jira, you're using your organization, okay, how to log in Jira, how to report bugs into your system. When you start finding these bugs, when you're executing all your codes, when you're executing all your scripts here, you finding in bugs in this system. You'll be reporting those bugs with one kind of tool because it's a bug management tool, which you call Jira. Okay, I will be telling you more about Jira later on in our discussion, later on in our coming sections, okay? How you are going to log our bugs and everything. We're doing that, okay? So resource 1, we'll be testing inbox. Resource 2, we'll be testing send. Resource 3, we'll be testing, they will start executing all the test cases which they created in that test execution phase. And what is bug? That's one thing, what is bug?
Bug is something which the tester identified due to error in the code.
Tested. Yeah, it's the error from the code from the developer. So I told you how it is, bug is on your. So bug is the error that was due. It might also be due to bad development, okay? So you will find a lot of bugs in the system, in the modules you'll be testing. You will report all these bugs using this particular tool I told you about, Jira. So map defects to test case in RTM. Defects can be there because of wrong requirements also. So as a testing engineer, you will be reporting bugs. So that bug can be error on, or can be problem from the requirements, okay? So you have to track the defects through this test closure. You can tell about Jira. have to track is a bug tracking tool. So what are the outcomes? Complete RTM with execution styles. RTM will get completed during these steps. You complete your RTM with all the bugs which you reported. You will map everything, how many scenarios you created, and you can see test case updated with results. Okay. What happened during this test case development phase? You created the test case, right? And now you'll be marking them as what? Pass or fail, because this test box from your login, username, password, this is password, any application, maybe that's your Chase Bank website I showed to you. So this particular username should, from your business requirement documentation given by the business analyst, it should accept only what? 10 characters. And when I was doing my permutation and combination, my positive and negative testing, I just try to, you have to try to break it, okay? You then impute 18 characters. It accepted it. That means the test failed. The script you have written from that text development phase, you start executing them here, okay? My test case is passed or my test case is failed. So test case updated with result. All right. What's happened during your test case development phase? You created the test case and now you will be marking them as pass or fail. I created a test case which is now pass or fail. All these things will be coming in this phase. And this is most critical phase for most you testing engineers. All right. So also you'll be giving the defect report. The defect report of all defect in the system. Then test closure. What is the meaning of the test closure? What is the meaning of when I say test closure? I'm closing this particular circle. For most of you that have idea of Scrum as Scrum Master, most of you have gone doing Scrum. You understand what I mean by sprints, okay? What I mean by sprints. Right? For most of you have done Scrum, you know what sprint is. I don't want to go into that right now, but we're going to do that in our incoming classes, okay? So I don't want to use the word sprint here because we have lots not started doing with Agile methodology I told you about. We started with Agile, so you understand what sprint is. So what's going to happen in this test closure is that in test closure reports, what happened in test closure report is that you will give the report on everything. Okay, you're going to give the report of everything. You're going to give report of the test closure. Reports will be there. Text matrix will be there. RTM report will be there. Okay, and I told you who create this RTM is your text manager. The test manager or your test lead. They created this reports, test report. You can see that evaluate cycle completion created based on time, test coverage, cost, software, critical business objective, but all these things will be there in that particular test closure report. In test closure reports, what happened is that, for instance, let me take an instance in a test closure report. Like if I say, remember I told you, oops, I told you, for instance, let's take automation for example. In test closure report, I created 1,000 scenarios. Okay. I created thousands. I created 1,000 scenarios here. So out of that 1,000 scenarios, okay, scenarios is what I have to test, okay? You know, I talk about scenarios, but I want to, in high level, I told you that, but that's what the next phase, the next topic we're going to how to create test cases and testing. What are test scenarios? What are test cases? In a scenario, like what I have to test. I have to test these particular applications, okay? So breaking down that particular application, what to call test cases, all right? So I created 10,000, we have 1,000 scenarios, okay? I created 10 or 1,000 scenarios here. So 980, for instance, 980 is passed. When I run as automation scripts, okay? 980 is passed. And out of that 1,000 scenarios, 20 is getting failed. It's failed. Then 10 is known issue. What I mean by known issue here is that, okay, I repeat, I said I created 10,000 scenarios for automation. Okay, I'm doing automation for, let me take automation for example. 1,000 scenarios I created for automation. Okay, I want to run. Now that 80 is passed, 20 is getting failed. Now, this is the report link. Okay, so since I use 4 resources, I use 4 people for this. I told the 4 people are going to run this automation out of in our team. We have 10 people in our team. 6 going to do manual testing, you guys manual testing, and then 4 people are going to do automation. So all this since I use 4 resources, all this will be there in this test closure report. Okay, it will be there in this test closure report from automation team. Try to understand this word, okay? For automation team. This going to be in this report result link from automation team. Similarly, there will be test closure report from manually testing team. Okay, for that in an instance, I tested like 6 modules. Out of those 6 modules, I found 100 bugs. Okay, I found 100 bugs in that module. That module I just showed to you, that's of I use Gmail as just inbox is resource 1. I have to test that particular all this module. So I use 6 people for manual testing. So out of those 6 people, they created 100 test cases on the scenarios for that. So I tested 6 modules, okay? I tested all these 6 modules. Out of those 6 modules, I found 100 bugs in the system. 90 from that 100 is fixed. Then 10 is known issue. Let me put it right here.
Mr. Stanley?
Yes.
So when you said 90 is fixed, are you saying like 90 passed or?
Yes, it's passed. Okay. It's fixed. Yeah, it's passed.
All right.
For you guys now, for automation people, automation dates, because automation is, is quicker. You have to automate it. It runs. Okay, so they wrote around 1,000 scenarios and all those things quickly, just like that. But manual, you do it manually. You entered your inbox, username, password. I'm using 6 people. And these 6 people are testing these modules, okay? They are using the email clients, inbox, send, draft, all those things. Resource 1, 2, 3. I'm using 6 people. 6 people are going to do what? Manual testing. So I tested 6 modules. Out of those 6 modules, I found 100 bugs. 100 bugs in the system. Out of 100, 90 is fixed. 90. You guys here, manual testers, all right? 90 is fixed. Then out of 100, 10 is known issue. What is that known issue? Known issue means the issue that is already there in the system and testing team knows about it. Okay, so all these things will be provided from the manual testing team. Okay, manual testing team will provide all these things. So the RTM report we talk about all the details about everything that has been done in your testing. The RTM report, we talk about all these things, all the details, what you guys did, people that did man automation, they run 1,000 test scenarios. Out of 1,000 test scenarios, now that 80 got passed, then 20 is getting failed. You know, all this will be in this report link. All right. So that is what the RTM report is talking about. We talk about all in detail. It contains about the business requirement document. This RTM contains the business requirement documentation. It contains functional information, document, information about scenarios, information about test cases. Information also says if your test case is also passed or failed. That's what the RTM report is talking about. So RTM does not only talk about testing alone, it also talked about business analyst team people. Everything will be included here. Business analyst too, everything will be there in your RTM report because it contains the BLD taglines, right? It contains the BLD taglines, all right? Everything will all be there in your definition. More so, it also tells you what are the new things. We guys are about talking about Agile, you know about more about all these things. So it also talks about, it also tell you about what are the new things you learn in our team. What do you learn while doing this testing? What are those new things we learned from this project? So maybe we learned of new modules, how customers behave with this new application. All these things we can provide during this closure. In Agile, for those that have done Scrum, in Agile, this is not what you call. Anyone that has done Scrum before, you know, understand what I'm talking about. In Agile,
Mr. Stanley.
yeah.
So would you say the closure is like a routine summary, like the summary of
Everything is
some.
that.
Okay, okay.
While doing your testing, you have to provide to your customer, to your client. You have to hand everything to your client. So in Agile, it also tells you how everything, how you, the clients, how the customer relate to this particular application. You know, I told you when I was telling about different type of in SDLC, different type of models. We talk about user acceptance testing, which is last phase. When we talk about the Abraham, do you remember this when I told you people in class? They about the incremental model, V model.
You
Sorry.
talk about the validation and verification.
Yeah, you say this last phase. Okay,
Mm.
user acceptance testing. So you see all these things. What kind of model you have? So everything, this summary, the RTM provides you everything. In Agile, we call it retrospect. Retrospect. Retrospection. All right. So we discuss in detail later about what this retrospection in Agile is. For those that have done Scrum, they understand that word. So it will tell us how many time you consume for testing, time of consumption. Okay. Document you created, basically you have to hand these documents you created, basically you have to hand over the summary of everything that you did to your clients, right? Maybe we are building this application for Facebook, or building an application for Apple, for Bank of America, or what. You have to handle everything you guys did in or testing to that particular client. Many people that are involved, how many time consumed to do this testing, how the clients, for those that are doing user acceptance testing phase, how clients able to react to these particular applications, everything you hand over to what? To the clients.
So, sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
So do we have, as testers, right? Do we have a direct contact with the client?
Of course, I told you, when I was saying about Agile, I told you have to be open to what? To your because in Agile, if you're working in an Agile team, your clients, you have to be open to the client, or they'll be communicating with you every time, frequently. You should also adapt to change, because they can tell you that this particular text box, we don't want it to be 10 anymore. We want it to accordingly 5. So you have to change it again. So you have to open to collaboration. Customer collaboration will be there with you, your clients. Okay.
Right. So the document, it does not pass through somebody else before it gets to the client, like maybe a lead, or you just directly send the closure to your client.
Who closes is your text manager.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Your test lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do this test closure report. It's been done by your test lead or your test manager. All right.
Mr. Stanley, that implies that the report from the automation team and the manual testing team will be submitted to the test manager.
Everybody is about the test closure report. That will be test automation report team. That will be for the tagline automation report link. The link for automation will also be there. In test closure report, I told you, for instance, for automation, in test closure report, I created 1,000 scenarios. 90, 80, now that 80 is getting passed, 20 is getting failed. So this is the report link, okay? Since I use 4 resource, all these will be there in the test closure report from automation team. Okay, try to understand this word. That report link will be there for those that did automation. 4 resource for automation people. They did 1,000 scenarios, now that 80 got passed, 20 get failed. All right. This link is the report link for automation team. Similarly, there will be test closure report from the manually testing team. You guys here, you guys do manual testing. All right. Manually testing team. For that is that in an instance, I tested 6 modules. All right. Out of those 6 modules I tested, I found 100 bugs. Out of 100 bugs, 90 is fixed, 10 is unknown issue. Known issue here, I told you, known issue here means the issue that is already there in the system, and testing team knows about it. So all these things will be provided from the manual testing link. Okay, so everything will be there in this reports, RTM report. So RTM report will be talk about all the details about everything, how much time you consume, how the clients, the end clients react with this particular application. Was there any bug in the system? How was it? All these bugs they found, everything will be reported. So documents you created, basically you have to hand over the summary of everything that you did to the clients. Okay. So in all that constitutes the end of test closure report phase in this LSTLC.
All right, Stanley, I'm sorry to take you back.
Yeah.
I remember the scenario that you gave. You said we had, for instance, we had 6 testers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have 100 test scenarios or something like that. Was that correct?
Yes.
So my question is, the 6 testers, are they working on the same project, or is it just you personally finding the 100 bugs and realizing that 90 passed?
Remember, you created your test case developments, okay?
Okay.
Test case developments. You write your scripts. Now, when your test planning, I said 4 people are going to do automation. All those things comes under your test plan. You are doing so you are doing kind of effort estimates also your test planning. So then 6 people will do manual testing, like you right here. 4 people, there are people in our class, just for instance, people that they want to start learning Java so they can do automation. So those 6 people, they will do automation. They know idea of Java, Selenium as automation tool. So they have like 1,000 scenarios they have created. They created 1,000 scenarios. They do their own test case development, their own self. Everybody you have to start doing your own scripting. Okay. So yeah, you have to do your own scripting. The 100 bucks you are talking about is, I'm just saying for instance, they find 100 bucks. These 6 people, they find 100 bucks. They can find 90, 50 bucks in those modules, in those inbox. Okay. Resource was my fan. I told you that it is the responsibility of resource one to test the inbox. It is the responsibility of resource two to test the send. How send and draft is communicating. They do all those things. Remember when I talked about integration testing, system testing. So if you're following these videos, take your notes, you understand what I'm talking about. Okay. So the 100 bucks I'm talking about, just for instance, they find 100 bucks. I'm just saying for instance.
Okay. So it was
Okay.
collectively found.
Yeah, collective, yes,
Okay,
like we
okay.
found 100 bucks. So out of those 100 bucks, 90 got fixed. 10 is known issue. Known issue is that, okay, it was the issue that was there, and the testing people already know about those things. So all these things have to be reported in this RTM report link for manual testing team. They are testing this manually. Automation, this is what they did in the automation, while they're running automation scripts, reduce Selenium, Java, so all those things. So who closes test closure report is your test manager, your test lead. And everything has to be there. The RTN does not only talk about testing alone, it also talks about business analyst team as well, because it contains the BRD taglines as well. So is a special, segment I have to talk about this RTN, especially how it's being created, how you're going to create your test, your RTM, your test case, the test scenarios, how to create all those things. So the video was not sent. I don't know how many people received the video. That's why I can't go to the next topic for today. So that's how I have to end it for today, so that you can have these few hours to ask your questions, then go back to the previous videos, and then, so because if I take these test scenarios and test cases, and there's a lot of interview questions that's aligned to this, you may get lost, right? And I have to give you assignments. So I want you to go back to this and then take note of it, what this STFC is, and before we go back to what is this test scenarios and how to create test scenarios and commit disciplinary matrix. I'm going to give you how to do that. Then I will give you an assignment according to this. These are top interview questions being asked in the interviews. So we're going to end it for today. So I want you guys to have these few hours to go watch those videos and take notes for what you did in previous classes before we go back to the next topic.
All right, can you also send us a slide? Because I'm not gonna lie, this section
Yeah,
it got me a little bit confused, but I think I could
yeah.
definitely.
That's why you didn't watch the videos. No, I always take notes. Okay. take notes, and because these are top interview questions they're going to ask you, because this is your field, this is your job description, so you got to know it, right? You got to know these things.
So yeah, I remember in the last class you say something about in an interview, if you asked have you created a requirement traceability matrix? So your
Yes,
answer should
don't
be
do that.
no.
No, yeah, because it's but you work hands in hand with your test manager, your test lead to do all those things. So how to create all those things, we're going to talk about that. So if you're for tests, as you have created tests required traceability matrix, is when you are sitting for interview as a test manager or a position as a test lead before you could be answering all these questions. For you to know how to create requirement traceability matrix, that means you know a lot about testing. Okay.
Right.
So you are vying for the position for the test manager or test lead position. That will ask you all those things. And you know a lot about testing. So you guys just take note, right, before we can go into it, because if I take this once, you may get lost. So you have to go back to what this STLC is, because this is your role and responsibility. So for this is all about software testing lifecycle. Okay, so how to do this? This is a summary. What is test planning? You have to know what test planning is, because this is frequently asked the type of question: how do you do test plan? What are test plan? Can you tell me what is test plan? And all those stuff like that. So you know what it entails, what test plan is, this entails the test plan. You have to have this strategy is about your kind of tool you want to use. Plan is just like a blueprint. In a test, in my organization, this is what test plan is all about. You have to select the kind of tool, because this comes about the tool, the automation tool, that strategy. Okay. Planning is okay, blueprints, the high level. I have it in hand. So my resource, strategy documentation, effort estimates, who is going to 4 people are going to do automation. Then 6 people are going to do manual. So all these things fall into test planning. Anyone have a question? Can someone summarize what is STLC? Anything you know about STLC? What is STLC? In
Yeah,
summary,
that was supposed to be part of my question. I was gonna ask because I'm pretty sure you said it a lot of times, but I feel like I still need a little more. I was gonna ask you the difference between the software development life cycle. I mean, I understand that's like a different part of our testing, but then the STLC has to do with us in particular. So
Yeah,
I just
exactly. That's a
so I
role.
so I was gonna ask, like, can you throw more light on the differences? Because sometimes it just throws me off, the SDLC and the STLC. If you can throw more light on that, I really appreciate it.
Try and you have to go back to your video and watch those videos, okay? So when I told you in high level, I told you that the SDLC, the SDLC is for mostly for the business people.
Right.
Okay, it's for business people, irrespective of what you have to do. That's both thing you have to do. That's the SDLC. Okay, so it's mostly for business people, but you as a QA, quality assurance analyst or mission analyst or automation engineer, you have to be there. Okay, it involves the planning phase, the defining phase, the designing phase, the building, the testing and the deployment. Okay, so the 6 phases: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And who deploy this particular software is the DevOps engineers. They call it DevOps. Have you heard that word, DevOps?
Yeah.
DevOps, or the production managers. Production manager, they do the deployment. But testing is your own phase. Irrespective, this is SDLC. So planning is the first phase. You have to plan for it. So this planning, I told you, is a large meeting. In my organization, it's a large meeting. Okay, it's large. The stakeholders are all here. Stakeholders are all here. Those that owns the business that brought it to the team. The business analysts are all here. The project managers are all here. It's a black meeting. You have to be there. Irrespective you are working remotely or you are working hybrid. Don't let them fire you, guy, because your test manager is watching you. Everybody have to log into the team, into the into a web link. Okay, your team at work, you have to log in. Everybody have to be in this meeting because you have to discuss. The Scrum Masters are all here. It's a large meeting. They are discussing what the kind of development is they're going to embark on this particular application. So your executive directors are all here. So everybody is here, putting their light discussion. The meeting might last like 45 minutes or 1 hour. It's the last meeting. So everybody is here in the meeting. So irrespective of what you're doing, make sure you are present in that meeting because in your own team, this is your own team here. Your testing people, they're all here. Dev people, development people, the software engineers and all that, they're all here. Everybody is all here in this particular meeting. It's a large meeting. So irrespective of everything, then testing is a phase in SDLC. Then in that testing is the point that after you guys have had that meeting, then your test manager, your test lead will then embark on what the SDLC is a point they have to carve out here. So you have to do the analysis of everything, planning for their own. This is your own role now. Your test manager, you guys have your own meeting. Your own Microsoft team meetings, you have to log in and everything. You have a meeting, they call them for a meeting, then you guys have your own particular meeting. Then talking about what they had in the business meeting that you guys had yesterday or last week. Okay, you guys start discussing about it. You start discussing what is the application on that test, the AUT. Okay, how are we going to carry it? What is test plan for it? All right. Then your test manager will have what they call the POC, proof of concept, right before testing begins. And if you're working in Agile, but I don't want to go into Agile, so you just watch your videos and you understand more about it. Take notes and they don't depend on this video though. You can also go on YouTube and also do some research on it, how it's been done.
Stanley, where can we get this particular video and the previous one?
Yes, I was going to send it. That's why you guys, after, always remind that in the platform. We'll chat up in the platform that you guys have not received the video for today, so she will send it. That's why I cannot go to this next copy for today because you guys will be lost because you guys didn't receive the video. You guys didn't even take note and ask questions because this is I'm taking time because this is your own job requirement. This is your own testing, irrespective of what he just asked about SDLC. Irrespective of this SDLC, you guys still have to do your testing. This is for business people, the Scrum Masters, the project managers, the stakeholders, the business analysts, okay? The executive directors of that particular organization, they are all here in this phase. So it doesn't really, though you have to be here because you see testing is part of the phase. Okay, so then you guys, your test manager have to set up a meeting that you guys have to do your own meetings. Have to do the SDLC, which is software testing lifecycle. You have your own phase, irrespective of the SDLC. And this phase is independent on this phase. You don't have anything to do with this. And this one has its own life cycle too. It has its own models, the V model, the incremental model. And either incremental model or V model, waterfall model, you see that testing is also its phase in any particular model you are carrying. When I talk about the V model, you can say the business requirements, you see all those stuff like that. After then testing, that was called tester life cycle. Okay, so it's a phase also. Any model your organization is carrying on. I can have a call from a recruiting firm and ask you that there's job always, So and this is a job requirement. Have you worked on waterfall? And if you take note from what we discussed about waterfall, how it's being done, you can see waterfall has different things. You can explain to them the way it is. That's the way it's done in our organization. Have you worked in waterfall? Yes. You can use to justify your 7 years of experience or anything if you know what we're discussing in class. We'll talk about waterfall. That is subjective to the maintenance phase, is subjective to what the analysis phase. Anything you have to go back again, and every phase is independent. The business people they don't know what the testing people is doing, because it's what there's overlapping in waterfall model. There's no prototyping. You don't get that particular software at that in the early phase, the late phase of getting that particular software. And there's no prototyping. That's what I mean. So understand these particular terminologies when you are sitting for interview. They know that you know a lot about testing. Okay. So the video we send, always please don't forget to always chat in the platform so that you can send the video, because we can't proceed in this topic. So you guys have time to, because a lot of interview questions we're going to, you guys to start scripting now. Okay. I'm going to give you an assignment, how you've been doing in the industry. You guys start writing your own scripts and start executing your own scripts. Now, next class. Any question before we end? I can help. So you can use a 1 hour for time and watch the video back again, write note and ask questions in platform, then I'm ready to reply.
Stanley, I
Yes.
have a question, right? In this first cycle closure, right? After the bugs have been discovered, then the report is being written. So what happens after that? Like when they send it to the client?
No, you can't say the client's bugs. All these things have been fixed. I told you it's fixed, right? Are you talking about the RTM, the report link?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to report those bugs, everything but all those bugs have been fixed. Activities that occur during your testing, from the business people, from everybody, everything that happened in that testing, time consumed, how the client react to those bugs we sent, and the thing was fixed, client was able to fix, all those things, the logs. For those that are doing the automations, they will do the kind of log reporting tool they use also for automation. Everything will be you'll be an automation link, report link for automation. For manual people, they do kind of Jira bug tracking tool. Okay, everything will be reported. You don't send bugs. That can send bugs to the client. That means when the client log into facebook.com, you're able to log in. There's a bug in the system, and you deploy that particular software. No, RTM, you report those bugs, but now that you're operating, you are deploying bugs into everything is being done. Everything is okay now. What you see on your system in the production server, okay, is here. So you can be able to log it to your username and password.
Okay, Stanley, thank you.
All right, guys, any question, please try and watch the video. Then we'll start from the next topic.
Okay, thank you so much.